Hey friends, it's Christy, and I'm so glad you're with me. I wanted to share with you an overview from a live webinar I did just the other week, and it was on clever lead generation. I felt like it went so well that it was worthy of being recorded, and I'm going to put this here on my YouTube channel. So, creating new business opportunities. There are opportunities all around us. We just have to know where to look and how to look for them. So, let's go ahead and get started. I love this quote from Chris Grosser. Opportunities don't happen, you create them. So, where do we look to create them? How do we go about it? Let's dive into that here right now. So, a little bit about me. My name is Christina Ruzzi. I have been in real estate and finance for 24 years. I'm a former realtor, a former short sale negotiator, broker's assistant, and currently I'm a loan officer. I have a podcast called Credit Coaching by Christy. You can find it on all of the platforms, including YouTube. Underneath my credit coaching channel, it's called Credit Christy. I'm a published author. My first book was called First Home, Where to Start and How to Win. And my most recent book was published last year, and it's Finish Financially Free. And I may or may not be in the midst of a third or maybe even a fourth book. I am a Jesus follower, a lover of wine, and a dog mom. So I've got two boy dogs. Boy dogs are special little beings. I don't know if you've ever had male dogs, but next ones will be female. Let's just put it that way. All right. Just a quick little plug about my company. My company is called Genesis Real Estate Essentials. Why Genesis? Because in the beginning, this is really geared for agents who are newer in the business. Let's just agree that your 60-something hour pre-licensing course didn't teach you the essentials to be successful in the most important sales role of all sales roles, which I believe is being a real estate sales professional. So it's created specifically for newer agents or agents who have done a little bit of business but feel like they didn't have that proper foundational training. I got you. So it is designed to catapult your learning curve, help you create a plan, and build confidence very quickly. So I have a 90-day launch pad for somebody who's brand new into the business. And then I also have categorized teaching. So you could go into one of these different categories depending on what your need is. So if you'd like to build up your sales mastery skills, if you're working with buyers or sellers, or since 2/3 of transactions involve financing, whether you're on the list side or the buy side, you really should get to know financing. So working with financing is very important. And all of this brought to you at $47 a month with no contract. So what do you have to lose? If it's terrible, you've paid me $47. If it's amazing, then you are experiencing thousands of dollars worth of value every single month that you pay less than a nice dinner out. So I believe in you, and I didn't want money to be the reason why you don't get the proper training. So I am using these webinars and even this YouTube channel as an introduction to who I am and who I could be for you, a coach, an encourager, a teacher, and just somebody in the business that you can rely on, count on, and help you to really launch your career well. So we're going to talk first about in-person lead generation ideas, and then we're going to move it into online lead generation ideas. I'm going to go through this super fast. Feel free to pause and take a picture of any of these ideas that you have up on the screen. I hope my goal for you is that you learn something for the first time and have 2 to 3 really amazing takeaways that you can put into action right away. That's my goal for you. Not all of these will resonate with you, but I am not a cold caller. I don't cold call. I'm not comfortable with it. I am more of an in-person relationship builder. And if you're not into cold calls for potential listings, expireds, trying to talk a for sale by owner into working with you to list with them or with you, then you're in good company here to learn some other ways of generating business. Okay, so let's first start with our in-person lead generation ideas. So first and foremost, before we get into any of the ideas here, please be you. What do you love to do? What are you into? That's where I would spend my time because you want to attract people that are much like you. We tend to attract people that are like us, have fun with people who are like us, not to exclude anybody else, but why wouldn't you want to be surrounded by people who are into the things that you are into and enjoy where you spend your time as well? So just be authentic. Don't try to take something on that doesn't necessarily fit well for you. So, what if you started off at a coffee shop and you had specific coffee shop hours? Maybe you post that online. Hey, for the next 2 hours, I'm going to be at my favorite locally owned blah, blah, blah coffee shop. And come join me. Come have a conversation with me. Come join me for a cup of coffee. Or perhaps you could have a sticker on the back of your computer, the part that people see when they come facing you, or a little sign that says, Ask me anything about real estate. You'd be surprised for people who own real estate or who don't own real estate. They have curiosity about what's going on in the marketplace, maybe nationally or locally. Maybe they just want to know how they can, maximize the value in their own home, or what they could do about a neighbor that they'd love to help move on and recruit to another neighborhood. Maybe they will introduce you so you can list their home. You never know. But consider having a sticker or a sign that says, Ask me anything about real estate. One of my favorite ways to generate new relationships and even conversations around real estate is to volunteer. First and foremost, I'm doing something that I love to do, and then I'm giving back to my community. But most importantly, I am elbow to elbow with other people that share the same values and have the same heart as me. They want to serve others. There's a need out there. It's our way to give back, to care for our fellow neighbors. And it's also a really great way to be introduced to people that you may not have had your paths cross any other way. What if you were to host a community walking tour? So maybe you post this on like Meetup or Eventbrite or a Facebook event group, and you were to say, hey, are you newer to such and such neighborhood or area? Have you just recently moved to this state? I'd love to show you my favorite spots in downtown such and such, right? Meet me on the corner of this and this. And there's going to be a small group of us at 7 p.m. for an hour and a half. Or maybe you make it in the middle of the day. Have somebody do this with you, because sometimes when you put stuff out there, uh, people with not such great intentions, they might see your beautiful picture and be like, hey, I want to, be shoulder to shoulder with this person. So make sure you have somebody with you, and you could do a walking tour. Maybe go to a couple of your favorite restaurants and shops around this little area that you're going to walk through and say, hey, I'm going to bring 4 or 5 people by because I love you. I love your shop. I love this town, and they're new to the area. I want to introduce them to your store or your business that they may not have known about before. And then give them a little backstory, give them a little personal story, something about that business or the area. Help them to get integrated and feel part of this new community of theirs. And then maybe afterwards you could say, hey, follow me. Maybe you end up back in the parking lot. Follow me. We're going to go to these 2 or 3 open houses. You can see a $500,000 listing, a $700,000 listing, and $1 million listing, or something along those lines. And have some of your agent colleagues hosting an open house, and you bring all of these people through, just so that way they can get an idea of what money buys in this community. And you're the go-to now, the realtor that poured into them and helped them get acclimated into their new community, show them your couple of favorite spaces and places, and even got them a glimpse of what money buys for real estate in your community. If you are into dogs, I think you might be into this next idea. Why not set up something at a doggy park? Maybe you could reach out to a new puppy trainer or dog trainer, and you can say, hey, I'm going to get 8 to 10 people here. Will you train for free for an hour, or can I throw a little bit of money at you and you train for them? But I'm going to have them RSVP. I'm going to have them, verify and clarify that they're going to be there Saturday at 9:30 in the morning or whatever. And here's what is the most amazing. Imagine having a little ball of fur that's, 7 pounds when you bring them home, 8, 10 pounds, or 8 or 10 weeks, right? And then fast forward 6 months or 12 months, and you've got this 80 or 100 pound golden doodle running around your 2 bedroom, 3rd story apartment. Like, that's not gonna work. So I have helped more first-time home buyers buy their home with a fenced-in backyard because they got a puppy other than any other reason. So you want to get in front of those people who have a new dog because sometimes that new addition to the family is a reason for them to have a new backyard. So consider that. All right. How about hosting a neighborhood event? Maybe you are farming in your own neighborhood and you could reach out to the HOA president or a couple different people around the neighborhood and say, hey, let's host a neighborhood event. It could be a seasonal event like a winter wonderland, autumn fest. I know one time when we moved into our new neighborhood, I wanted to meet the neighbors. So I sent something out on the HOA email, and I also went around and personally invited all of the homes near me, and we hosted hot cocoa and s'mores. So I had some adult beverages. I had some hot cocoa with some additions. I had like rum chata or Bailey's, because it was in the evening, and where you could build your own s'mores as well. And then we had some other just light appetizers out. You could do a summer kickoff and do, hot dogs and hamburgers on a grill, and maybe do like a movie in your front yard on one of those big blow up screens or something. Or maybe you do a sidewalk chalk event and you can invite all ages to participate. Or maybe they have a sectioned off area in your own driveway and you've got judges there. Not you, you don't ever want to be the bad guy, but you've got judges there and they vote on the chalk contest artist winner. And maybe you've got some giveaways from some of your people that you work with, insurance agent, loan officer, title company, home inspector. Maybe they all donate a gift card or a basket or something like that for first, second, and third place winners. Or they can help contribute towards the cost of foods, drinks, those kinds of things. So have some fun with it, get to know your neighbors, and just do something pretty regularly so that you are known as the person in your neighborhood, the professional in your neighborhood. Maybe you could host a first-time investor seminar or even a first-time homebuyer seminar. You can do it at a library or some local community place, maybe in the back of a restaurant if you can partner with a restaurant, and provide the information of what people want to know. So what might first-time investors or first-time home buyers need to know? They're going to need to know about financing, so partner with a loan officer. They might need to know how to spot, a problemsome property. So maybe have a home inspector come in and talk. Maybe an insurance agent can talk about what's important and costs and what they're looking for when you are insuring a property, whether it's for investment use or your own personal use. Or what if you hosted an open house exclusive viewing for only the neighbors? So I've seen where sometimes people invite the neighbors an hour or two before a regular open house. But what if you just did on this day an open house only for the neighbors? You kept it open for several hours and you can set it up to match the property. So if it's a more luxurious home, maybe you offer a wine tasting, or even you could do a wine pairing with some different tastes. If it's something a little bit more casual, maybe a single family home in a great family neighborhood, you could do a barbecue. So keep in mind, you want to gather as many neighbors as you can. Some neighbors have never met each other. Some people will never come over, and that's okay. But what if you wanted to get the nosy neighbors? Maybe you could set it up as, hey, I'm inviting all the neighbors prior to this going on the market to suggest for the owner what they should do to their home for it to sell for top dollar. People love to give their opinions. And so this way, the nosy neighbors are allowed to come over, check out and scrutinize the home. And they might say, oh, you've got to redo this flooring. Oh, you need a fresh coat of paint in here. It needs a good scrub. I would recommend new hardware on the kitchen cabinets, whatever it is. But maybe it's some things that you didn't even see to recommend. And if your client is open for it, they'll receive that feedback and maybe as coming from their, neighbors as opposed to it coming from you, maybe they get into action and do some of those things prior to listing the home. So that's always a fun thing to do. Okay, so continuing our in-person lead generation ideas, we've actually just talked about the host and open house exclusive. So that's a duplicate. What about sponsoring a monthly park cleanup or a beach cleanup, something along those lines? So you're building community. You can always have sponsors provide food, giveaways, anything like that. But maybe you post it on, Facebook or some event platform. And you say, hey, I'm going to go at this park on this day from these hours, and I'm going to provide the garbage bags and all those things. Come out and help us clean up. And I'm reserving this for the top 10 people who, reach out to me first. You're going to join me at this time. And then we're going to have lunch provided by so and so afterwards. So that's a great way to show that you care about your neighborhood and your community, and also an opportunity to be introduced or deepen relationships with people that you may not know so well. What if you were to create a QR code for your listing and you put it on one of those signs that you just kind of stick in the yard, as opposed to, like the L-shape big signs that are more permanent? And really, the idea is maybe somebody driving by, but more specifically for the neighbors. Okay, so they're walking the dog, they're walking for their own health, whatever the case is. And this QR code brings them to your video walkthrough as if you're showing them a private showing. I thought that was a really cool idea because, gosh, we all would love to know what's inside of our neighbors' homes, what it looks like, how they decorated, those kinds of things. So I thought that was kind of a cool idea. And then they get to better know your personality. What if you hosted a small group or a ladies' networking event or a party with a purpose? Party with a purpose is what I call where you get to spotlight a nonprofit. So maybe you invite 5 friends from this networking group, 5 friends from this networking group, 5 friends from this networking group, and you bring them all into your home. And the goal is to introduce them to one another, and also you are the connector. But then you've got the spotlight on a nonprofit that you are passionate about supporting, and you introduce them to that nonprofit. And perhaps that spokesperson does a presentation for 5 or 10 minutes about who they are, what they're up to, and how they're serving those in the community. Now you've introduced them to a great cause. You've got a spotlight on the nonprofit that might result in new volunteers, new funding sources, new money coming their way, and then ask everybody to post about it that night on their social media outlets. So that would be a ton of fun to be able to get a lot of attention on you. You're the connector, and then people will think of you as the go-to real estate professional because of who you are in the community, as you are bringing all of these people together and creating these smaller events that can be very impactful for others. What if you launched a mastermind? So, what are you looking to solve? What are you looking to improve? Who do you need to connect with? How do you need to grow? And maybe have one person from different industries. Maybe you have an attorney and a CPA and a business owner and an insurance professional, a business broker. I'm just trying to throw out all different kinds of different categories of different business and sales professionals, and maybe everybody can go around and give an idea for whatever that problem is that somebody would like to solve. You might only get through 2 or 3 problems to solve, but everybody's had their input on suggestions on how to improve, solve that problem, grow. Maybe they need to hire new people. Maybe they need to revamp their marketing strategies. So having a room full of other professionals will help stimulate the conversation, get great ideas going, and then you are looked at as the expert, and also knowing amazing people that you're bringing together to help build and improve their businesses. What if you were targeting or geographically a specific neighborhood? Maybe you could go around and put a little door hanger on every home in that neighborhood and offer a free 15-minute curb appeal consultation. Maybe you could bring in a landscaper or something along those lines, or refer them to a landscaper, and you can give them this consultation so that they can spruce up the exteriors. A lot of times, right before, as spring is getting ready to happen, a lot of times during summer, people want to, change out the plants and the way that things look. We're spending a lot more time outside. Maybe some things were scorched by the sun and need to be replaced. So you can give some ideas. And as you're talking to people about the reasons that they want to improve their curb appeal, maybe you can get some insider information about what's going on in that neighborhood, who's thinking about selling, um, who's renting and maybe needs to buy and wants to stay in that neighborhood. See what kind of opportunities you can uncover by getting into conversation with the neighbors because you're serving them first. Okay, and when you are networking, know your unique value proposition. Probably one of the most important things you could do. Instead of when you're out networking, somebody asks you, what do you do? Instead of saying, I'm a realtor, you could say, I help first-time home buyer or first-time home buyers navigate through the crazy process of buying their first home. I help investors maximize their return on investment. I help people experiencing divorce to sell their family home and buy a better or right-sized home for this next chapter in their life. Whatever your focus is, talk about what you do or who you serve. And that will right there separate you from everybody else in this industry. Okay, so online lead generation ideas. First, you could give tips on Instagram or TikTok for a number of different categories. First-time home buyers, first-time investors, selling and buying simultaneously. You could really address their pain points. What are their pain points? Is it not knowing what kind of credit they have to have established? How much down payment and cash to close? How to be prepared? What kind of questions do they need to ask of themselves to know if they're ready to start building their wealth and their portfolio in real estate? Or are they ready to be homeowners? So what are their pain points and address that? You could offer free neighborhood insights reports. So offer it online and be very specific on what you're offering. So you could say, hey, I'm a specialist in downtown, fill in the blank of your town. And I specifically love working with high-rise condos or historic homes or whatever the case is. And if this is you and you would like to know what's going on in your neighborhood, I can give you an insight report. I can tell you what the average price per square foot is that's selling, how long a property is on the market until it sells, the sales price versus the list price. What is that ratio? Is it 98%? Is it 90%? Those kinds of things. And maybe you could keep it open to other places around the country. And if somebody wants to relocate, you can introduce them to a relocation agent in that area. And don't forget, you get a referral fee by introducing another agent. You could do a this or that poll. So do you like this kitchen? Do you like that kitchen? Do you like this modern home? Do you like this traditional home? Compare one home to another and ask which aspect of the home that they like. What do you like most about this kitchen versus that kitchen? You want to create engagement on your posts. You can talk about a fixer-upper or a move-in, an existing home versus a new build. There's a trade-off for everything, right? A lot of existing homes that have been around 20 or 30 years are like that sturdy old furniture, where a new build is kind of like IKEA furniture. Sometimes existing homes have larger lots and bigger backyards. Where new builds, it's shiny and new on the inside, but you could literally touch your neighbor in the house next door. Maybe you could partner with somebody that is doing a fix and flip or a renovation and have the audience pick out your finishes. How cool would that be? You could say this floor or that floor, white cabinets or brown cabinets, this countertop or that countertop. And I was inspired to do this because we did this on my husband and I's first home that we bought. It was a home that hadn't been updated in a couple of decades. So it had a lot of work that needed to be done. And we invited a lot of our friends. I think there were probably somewhere between, I don't know, 85 and 100 friends that showed up that night. We kind of did an open house style and had it open for 4 hours. We had drinks and food. And, when people walked in the door, they were handed a marker and a little stack of pre-cut pieces of paper. And what they were going to do was just put A, B, or C. And we had a little bucket in front of the thing that they were voting on. So we had either pictures or the real deal of the kitchen hardware or the paint swap or whatever, we were asking them to vote on. And whatever element got the most votes, that's what we went with. It was super cool. So I'm thinking, what if you did that online and you got a lot of engagement? I think you could get a lot of followers that way on TikTok or Instagram and have a ton of fun. So maybe one of your clients just bought a fix and flip, suggest this, and you're the one documenting all of it. What if you created a local Facebook group? Like there are town Facebook groups and also lifestyle Facebook groups. For instance, I am a mortgage loan officer and I am part of a mortgage loan officer network, right? You're probably part of some Facebook groups that specialize in real estate. Maybe you could find dog-friendly spaces or create dog-friendly spaces in the name of your city, local family events in the name of your city, affordable do-it-yourself home decor, and then go and show people online, introduce them to these cute little stores around your town and how they can repurpose some things for affordable do-it-yourself home decor. Maybe you are an expert of all things uh, food and you want to introduce them to the local restaurants in your community or those local businesses, whatever those secret gems are. You can be the voice of it and introduce that because you are spotlighting your community. And let's face it, real estate isn't just about the home, it's about the lifestyle in that community. Okay, moving on. You could maybe go Facebook Live with other local professionals in the industry. So maybe every Monday at noon, you go live and maybe you interview somebody on insurance, a credit expert, a home inspector, a mortgage professional, title companies, something along those lines. And you ask them, what are the biggest pain points right now? How are people really winning when it comes to insurance? Or what happens if the home inspection comes in terrible? Or what's the one or two things that trips up people being able to get the best cost or premium on insurance these days and be the information provider? I love this next idea, and I hope that it's something that you love too. You could do a search on MLS for certain neighborhoods, right? You might be going in to do a CMA on a home that somebody wants to make an offer on. So just like that, but instead of going into the sales, what if you went into rentals? So what is recently rented? Maybe you can farm a specific neighborhood. Maybe this one community has homes selling from $400 to $700,000. It's a great price point. And also the homes that are rentals, their rent is going to be on the higher side, right? Maybe more luxury properties. And so those tenants that are in there may have just recently moved to the area and want to find out or discover what area of town they want to live in more permanently. So maybe do a search for rentals that have gone into a new agreement in the last, say, 6 to 9 months and get those addresses. Start sending postcards every couple weeks, once a month, however you want to do it. And maybe you can set up your own custom drip mail campaign. Maybe you could show a rent versus own. What to look for in your next home. Questions to ask your realtor if you're relocating to a different town or state. You could talk about down payment assistance programs. Depending on who your audience is for the price point in that neighborhood, you can create your messaging customized to who you are talking to there. So that way, when they're ready to buy, you're the one that's been providing this information for them, and they're going to call you. If you have an eye for flair, maybe you can set up some do-it-yourself staging suggestions to help people's homes look like a model home. So, they might love their home, but it may not be the most ideal home. So as rates start coming down, so those people who are locked into that 2 and 3% interest rate from a few years ago start feeling more comfortable with buying their next home, you've helped them to really beautify and stage their home perfectly. They might be calling you to list their home and help them buy their next one. You could always be a relocation specialist on like YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Talk about what's amazing in your backyard, your community. What's the special parts of the lifestyle of living in your town? What's important to people when they are thinking about living in a different area? They might be living in such a busy, busy town. They want peace and quiet. They want some family events. They want something different than what they have. So you could talk about the lifestyle, the events and happenings, commute time to different areas, family-friendly things that are going on. Depending on who you want to talk to, if you want to talk to the families, if you want to talk to the single, working professionals, customize your message to who you'd like to attract your way and tell them all the amazing things in your community and attract them to you. Somebody might be living in a really cold tundra of Minnesota and love seeing the beautiful, bright, sunny days that you bring to TikTok, showing them all about Florida, for instance. So maybe you could show them what $500,000 buys in downtown or the most populated area of your town, and what $500,000 buys you at a 20 or 30 or 40-minute drive outside of town. So you can kind of compare and contrast how far their money will go. And let's make sure before we leave online lead generation ideas that you make sure that your Google, Zillow, Realtor.com profiles are fire. We want to make sure that you look excellent, because if somebody finds you on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube and they love what you're up to and they go to Google and you don't even have a listing, or they go to realtor.com and it's like, be the first person to make a recommendation about so and so realtor. You don't want it to appear that way. So make sure your profiles are set up and maybe even ask for a couple of recommendations. Even if you don't have any sales under your belt, you have worked with other people in other capacities. Maybe it is somebody that you're going to start working with, an insurance agent, a mortgage loan officer. Ask them if they can say something nice about your personality, about your approach to your business, about how you treat others. It doesn't necessarily have to be a past client, if you know what I mean. Okay. Utilize all you can online. Make sure that you have a professional and recent headshot. I think that's about all we need to say about that. As far as technology, make sure that you know about some of the free to you resources. I'm going to show you on the next slide what List Reports is all about. But you can utilize this. It's absolutely free to you. I just have to add your email address. And then every single time you have a new listing hit, it automatically shows up there and does all of your marketing for you. And then next, demonstrate. So partner with those resources, such as a buy versus rent, and demonstrate it to people online. Some of those technology features that you have. You want more exposure to more people. You're a sales professional. So utilize those, demonstrate it online, show it to as many people. You never know who's watching. You never know who's listening. You never know who's learning. So you are impacting people. In which way are you impacting them? This will help position you as the professional and the person who is the go-to for this information. You can also talk about creative financing. There's this whole world outside of conventional and FHA loans. So partner up with your your mortgage loan officer and put together some videos. Maybe you interview them. Maybe you guys do something together, maybe at an open house or a listing or a walkthrough with one of your clients. And you can do a video there. Hey, this home qualifies for FHA, VA, and conventional, and here's the reasons why. But you could also say, hey, if you are a business owner and on paper you don't look like you can afford this kind of a home, but in real life you could, I've got a partner that you should talk to, because there are other loan types out there that can demonstrate your income other ways than just tax returns. For instance, we have a loan program that many self-employed borrowers use, and it's a bank statement program. So we average the deposits in the bank account over 12 or 24 months, and then we can use a percentage of that as their income. It's an extraordinary way to be able to get financing outside of the traditional, you must fit in this box kind of bank loans. So just know that that exists and talk about it online, because there's a lot of people that fall outside of traditional financing and they need to know that you've got the in for creative financing. Okay, here's an example of one of my realtor partners on List Reports. I just swiped his listing that just hit at the time of putting together this webinar, and it's already done. He didn't have to do a thing. All he had to do was put it onto MLS, and then it comes up just like this. And then this is something he can post on Facebook, on LinkedIn, anywhere he is posting. And then people can click on about the home, a photo gallery, explore the area, those kinds of things. And then it also has an Instagram. Check this out. It talks about how convenient this home is. So, how close by are grocery stores and medical facilities, a gas station, movie theaters, coffee shops, those kinds of things. Really cool way to show just how much different kinds of places to explore, how close those are. And then what about the great outdoors? This place has within 10 miles 10 golf courses, 9 parks, 2 doggy parks, and a hiking trail. So that's kind of fun to see the most popular places that are nearby and how close they are for the outdoor enthusiasts. It also has a little snapshot on Neighborhood Eats. Who doesn't love food, right? So it shows you a listing by category of different restaurants and how many really great restaurants are close by. It says within 5 miles, 37 of them, which is pretty extraordinary. Now, here's an example of waiting to buy. So you rent versus waiting to buy. So I used the same exact property that I just showed you. And let's say we were waiting for a year. What I did was I used an appreciation gain, which was only 2.72% is the suggested appreciation gain because the recent historic gain is kind of an anomaly, right? Over the last 4 years, values have gone up somewhere around 44%. That is not normal. So I don't want to presume that's going to continue to happen. So what does it look like for the next year? Well, it's just below 3%. So let's go ahead and use that because that's a little bit more realistic. And the benefit of buying now saves them just about $3,500 in just 1 year based on if they buy now versus waiting. So it's a pretty cool tool. This is a continuation of that information. It's showing a net gain of buying a home. And over the next 9 years, this person should net gain almost $179,000 by owning this home. And the cash flow difference example here, waiting to buy. So an annual rental increase, they're suggesting maybe 6% a year. And I'm using a 7.5% interest rate if you bought now. That is actually higher than where it is even right now. Maybe a year ago, it was about 7.5%. So this estimated cash flow difference would be significantly higher if they qualify for a lower interest rate. So super cool tools that we can share with people that are on the fence, that are thinking about buying, not sure, if they want to buy. We can show them some of the tools and suggest why they need to sooner rather than later. So I hope that's a big help for you. Hey, thank you so much for being here. I do want to let you know that every other Thursday, I have a webinar, and I'm going to do this for at least the next year. I've got over 30 webinars ready to go. So go to buildanagent.com, click on webinars, and you can see upcoming webinars and also register for the next webinar. And then that way you can continue your learning for free through me. And I look forward to seeing you there soon. Thanks so much for watching.